all Seasons is showing people that life is about relationship, and life is about, fighting for who you love and what you love.
Speed. You want to start by talking about the last 4 years?
Wow. As humans, we go through so many ups and downs, so many good seasons, bad seasons.
Oh, table. Weird.
Welcome to PaleyFest LA. Hi, I'm Shirley Halperin, Executive Editor for Music at Variety, and I'm delighted to be your host for this special PaleyFest conversation honoring Justin Bieber Seasons. And thanks to the festival's official card, City, for helping make this event possible. This program is presented by the Paley Center for Media, a nonprofit organization dedicated to honoring excellence in television through education programs, great conversations with the stars, and storytellers of critically acclaimed series like the one we celebrate today, and the preservation of television's creative legacy through the Paley Archive. To learn more and to become a member, please visit paleycenter.org. So today, we're thrilled to welcome the creative team of YouTube's acclaimed 10-part docu-series, Justin Bieber Seasons. Joining us are YouTube's head of unscripted original programming, Alex Piper, producer Ryan Good, co-executive producer Joe Termini, composer Josh Gudwin, record producer Poo Bear, executive producers Allison Kaye and Scooter Braun, executive producer and director Michael D. Ratner, and of course, Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber. Thank you everyone for being here on this Zoom of all Zooms.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you guys for joining us. So I guess let's just start with everybody in our panel. Tell us how you saw your role in Justin Bieber Seasons and why you got involved, why you wanted this to come to the world.
You know, Justin can speak to this too, but throughout his career, his career started on YouTube, and it was very transparent and honest from day one. And over the years, we were honored to really work with some great filmmakers and make, two incredible films with John Chu, who's now gone on to have incredible success in Hollywood with movie making. And this one, Justin just wanted to tell an honest story. I think, Justin, you can speak to it, but, it's something that wasn't new to us as far as following. And Joe was having the camera, as he's family to Justin and Hailey, on them all the time. Hailey and I both had an independent relationship with Michael Ratner, and had trust in him. And I think, the magic really happened when both Ratner, Joe, and Justin actually got together and started having conversations about what this could be. And I feel like everyone else here kind of let their vision lead. And, Justin, I think you can jump in from here and kind of say why you wanted to do it, because it really could not happen without your courage.
So basically, everyone in this chat room, on this Zoom, is a part of my everyday life. They all contribute to the different successes that we've had, whether it be music or whatever it may be. They all just play such a significant role. And what we caught was just organic stuff. It was just organic relationship with each and every person in this chat, which made it, super relatable for the people watching at home.
I think that what Scooter and Justin just said is exactly like spot on. I felt like I was invited to be a part of a family deep into their journey. And it was like all access, and there was no list of, Justin saying, hey, I'm inviting you into this family, but you can't explore or ask me or touch on this. There was none of that. And I really say that with pride, because I think there's a big resurgence of these documentaries and tell-alls that go alongside albums right now, and they all claim to do that. But they're really, in many cases, these glorified commercials for the artist. And Justin was willing to show weakness and was willing to talk about stuff that not many people would have the courage to talk about, because he wanted to connect with his fans. He wanted to speak his truth. And I think that was cathartic. And I want to be clear, when I came on board, I was working on another project with Allison and Scooter, and they had just shared with me like a 60-second clip of something that Joe, who had been working on this project and directing behind the scene for months at that point, basically living with Justin and Hailey, had captured. And I was just blown away. And I had said to Scooter and Allison, if you guys just, because Justin and I had never met at that point. I had known Hailey, but we had never met. And I said, if I could just get in a room with Justin, I think that if we can vibe and trust one another and we have the same vision for this, it could be a home run. And that's when the magic happened. Like Scooter said, I got in a room with Joe and Justin. We all talked about what we thought we could turn it into. And season sort of blossomed from that discussion.
So it really was, you had an organic sort of collection of a lot of footage and the story sort of showed itself from what you already had. Like it wasn't a narrative that was built around it necessarily.
You know, what seasons really shows is life is about relationships, and all of us have our own unique relationships with each other. I have my own unique relationship with Josh, with Poo Bear, with Ryan, with Scooter, with Ratty, you know, and Ratty came along and me and him started building a new relationship. And, you know, all seasons is showing people that life is about relationship, and life is about, you know, fighting for who you love and what you love. And that's what seasons is.
Yeah. And it's incredibly revealing. I mean, like you really let people into not just your home or backstage or into the studio, you let people into your heart. Hailey, you really, you know, you went through a lot in just being a part of documentary. Now that you look back at it, do you feel it was therapeutic? How was the experience for you guys as a couple and you as a person?
I feel like at the time, obviously, we were newly married. Aside from everything else that was going on, we were navigating our relationship and being young and being married. And that's, you know, something that when you're already trying to figure that out and there's people, it's being filmed and you're trying to tell that story along with
Really building a relationship.
Yeah, really building a relationship, and also just, you know, his health at the time and making an album at the time. There was just a lot going on, but I think what was special about it is that, like we've said a couple times already on this chat, is that Joe is like our family. Mm-hmm. And I don't think if it wasn't for him, for our relationship with him that dates back years and years and years, I don't know if I would have ever been as comfortable and felt as safe to do it because of the relationship I had with him and all of the people that were involved to make me feel comfortable and safe to open up. Once I saw the whole story unfold, once I saw it at the premiere, I realized that it was going to be a really impactful thing, and it was a really beautiful story, and I'm happy that I was able to be a part of it with all of these beautiful people that we love.
That's great. Joe, would you talk about what Hailey was saying sort of from your purview?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what they're saying. I mean, we've had the three of us kind of had this really funny, long-lasting relationship, and it was just a really cool thing for Justin to kind of invite me in typical fashion. Like he's told me to come out for, you know, a weekend or something, and then I end up not leaving LA for like 8 months or something. So like, you got to kind of know what you're getting into with them. And then obviously, you know, Ratty and Scooter are, you know, incredible, and they've been intricate, you know, to making this all happen. I think it's really cool going back to also the reason why I think, you know, that it's organic, but then the fact that Justin wanted to open up his life and Hailey, he really believed it could help people. He really believed that people put him potentially in a place where he's untouchable. And I think it was really important for him in this part of his life to say, like, you know what? I'm not perfect. I don't have everything together. I'm struggling with mental illness. I think it was like I could almost get choked up thinking about it, because personally, we knew what he was dealing with. And sometimes the media can paint another picture that he could be like this, but he was really fighting to survive. He was fighting to stay married. He was fighting to build his relationships with his friends and the people that he loves. And I think for him to show that he's not perfect, because it's so much better, I think, and even easier for an artist to be like, look at how awesome I am. I'm a pop star. And I thought it was really wonderful, and I was really excited to be a part of something where he's like, bro, I just want to keep filming. Like, I just want to keep rolling. And like what Ratty was saying, it wasn't really scripted. It was like, in some ways, it was just, we shot and we kind of put it together, and the word organic keeps getting thrown around. And like, there may not be a better way to describe this. It's relationships with people who love each other that really just wanted to see Justin and Hailey tell their story in the most unimpeded way possible.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Wow. That was great.
Pooh Bear, you must have, having worked with Justin for so long on music, which is obviously a very revealing, you have to be willing to share everything kind of situation. You must have seen some of these struggles, but what was it like for you to see it as part of a film? Was it hard for you to watch as someone who you love is struggling?
First of all, it's just a blessing to be a part of it and to be invited to be a part of the documentary, and an honor. And it was definitely difficult, just kind of revisiting those memories and those stories, you know, during the doc. But at the same time, it was very inspiring and vulnerable, you know, to the point to where, you know, I felt like everybody involved could only grow from, you know, from the whole docu-series. So definitely it was a little bit difficult, and it was more of like a blessing just to see, you know, the outcome and to see the journey and to see how far Justin has come. It's really like amazing journey.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, seeing how you guys work in the studio was also really fascinating, because we got to see, well, how hard of a worker you are, first of all, Justin, but also just how many brains it takes, you know, to make like a perfect pop song, which I think you guys definitely achieved.
Well, it was an R&B album, but I'll let it slide.
Right. R&B album. Alex, let me talk to you. As the head of unscripted content for YouTube Originals, did you always see Justin coming back to YouTube? I mean, it's kind of like a really nice chapter in his story, considering he, you know, that's how he was discovered by Scooter, and now here he is, you know, this giant star.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure that Justin ever left. I mean, we talk about the beginning of his career, you know, on YouTube, but he has been kind of faithful to his YouTube audience all throughout that time. And I think this is a great next step in a story that he's really been telling very faithfully for years, right, through his previous documentaries and now into this series. And I think the courage that it took for him and Hailey to kind of, you know, let us in that door to be vulnerable at a time when maybe it would have been easier for those conversations to just happen behind closed doors, right? Mm-hmm. There's something incredibly powerful about that. You know, we work with a lot of different kind of celebrities and public figures on a variety of different projects. It's rare that you find the authenticity that you feel in this special. And I think part of it is because of everyone else who's spoken today, right? Justin and Hailey were surrounded by people who they could trust, right? And trust is everything. And so they felt like they could open up and tell their story. Oftentimes you get a public figure or celebrity who are surrounded by people who are looking for ways to not let them be vulnerable, to not let them be relatable. They want to put up a wall. And the fact that Scooter and Allison and everybody in the SB side was willing to open up that door, and then, you know, everyone else from Michael to Pooh to everybody was able to create an environment that allowed Hailey and Justin to be themselves. That's just so amazing, because if you think of what the core DNA of YouTube has been in the 15 years that it's been around, it's been that authenticity. It's been someone who says, I have a story I want to tell. I have something I want to share. Taking a camera, taking a cell phone, flipping it around, pointing it at themselves, and just speaking directly, their voice directly to their viewer, right? No wall between that. And too often in life, we, you know, on the network side or the platform side, we're building walls, right? We're deciding who gets a second season of this, or what this episode should look like, or who should be starring in this episode, or anything like that. And I think it was really crucial for us to strip all of that out, to get back to the core DNA of what a YouTube video is, and put our trust in the hands of these amazing creatives and these amazing people, and say, we know that you're going to get to the root of what the story is. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I know, Justin, you've done a lot of reflection, you know, during your time away, and for you to speak so candidly about what you've learned and what the headwinds were and what the tailwinds were, and allow us into seeing the things you love in life, whether that be Hailey or whether that be the music, the things that are hard for you in life. It's so remarkable, and it just makes me so proud personally to be a part of the project. But I think it really becomes a defining project for YouTube Originals as well. And I can tell you that, you know, ever since this show got released, my phone has been ringing off the hook of people saying, well, I want that treatment. Whatever you did with with Justin and Hailey on seasons. I want that. And the truth is that that's really exciting for us. But it's also, we have to do another layer of exploration with those people, because just saying you want it doesn't really mean you're willing to give it. And Justin and Hailey were really willing to deliver, and the rest of the creative team created an environment that allowed for that. And we're just so proud to be a part of it.
Excellent.
If I could just kind of piggyback off of that, I think, you know, when I was younger, I don't think I was in a place maturity-wise to be vulnerable. You know, you're young and you want to put up facades and you want to seem, you know, bigger than life. But when you realize, when you get to a maturity level where you realize what's really important, that being my wife and my family and my friends, you realize what I guess is truly important. And it became kind of a no-brainer for me to be like, I want to put it all on the line so that I can help my neighbor, help my friends, help my family, help the people who might be going through similar situations that I'm going through, you know. That was my goal.
Got it. Well, that's a good segue to this question that comes from the festival sponsor city. It's for you, Justin. Thank you for showing us your more vulnerable side. Can you comment on how the docu-series encourages social progress by highlighting the importance of mental health?
Can you repeat that?
Can you tell us just, you know, why was it important for the docu-series to put this out there, that there's a mental health issue, that people need to be aware of it, and that they can do something about it?
Yeah, I think that no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, we all struggle with something or some things. Our day-to-day life has, you know, constant hurdles that we got to jump over and things that we have to navigate through in this life. And I just think, as someone who has such a large platform, I just felt it was not even like my responsibility, but I think as, you know, I grow in my faith and in my relationship with God, I feel like it's my honor to be able to show those vulnerable sides, to say, you know, here's someone who people put on this pedestal to be larger than life. Look at his success. Look at how much money he has. Look at how much, and it's like that. Those things actually don't fulfill you, you know. And it'd be like, well, if Justin, with all these things and, you know, money and fame and all this stuff, still struggles with his mental health, then I'm not alone. And hopefully I'm able to give them some maybe outlets, or, you know, just help them navigate their journey, their faith journey, their relationship journey with the people that they love.
And have you seen feedback? Have people come to you, and this is open to anybody, and said, this really helped me, thank you for putting this out there? Tell us, Hailey.
I think that the response that I saw from seasons was definitely super impactful. I had a lot of people reach out to me and just say, hey, you know, this really spoke to me. It really touched me. And that for me was how I knew that this whole thing was worth it, as uncomfortable as it was for me a lot of the time. But I also think what it is too is, you know, I don't think a lot of people from the outside really knew there was so much that Justin had gone through that I don't think people knew was really happening at such a young age. I was happy to see him open up about drugs and about different things that I don't think a lot people maybe thought was going on, but I don't think they really knew to what extent and what depth. And, you know, all the conversation that was happening from the outside, he really got to tell his personal side of the story, and he got to really explain and share what he was going through mentally and physically and emotionally. And I think that, you know, like he just said a second ago, we all have things that we go through. And, you know, I think a lot of people were really, really touched by that, and maybe and hopefully felt like they could make decisions and make plans on how they were going to help themselves. And we wanted to give people the resources too, to find help and to reach out to people if they were struggling and going through something similar. So I thought that was really beautiful.
I just wanted to add to that. I think that's incredibly well said. From a YouTube perspective, it was overwhelming, really, people's response to that element of the storytelling, right? And that's the great thing to me about YouTube, not to proselytize YouTube too much here, but is that there really is a feedback loop between our fans and our viewers and the content, right? Because there's these comments that are happening right below, right? And so not only were there hundreds of thousands of comments that were put on these things, which means that people are really engaged, but when you read those comments, not only are they overwhelmingly positive, but what you realize is that people weren't using words like, this was fun, this was entertaining, I like Justin, I like Hailey. They were saying this was inspirational, right? And you saw people talking about their own stories in the comments. So now all of a sudden you're realizing that the power of Hailey and Justin's story unlocked our community story, our global YouTube community's story. And so to me, now this becomes more than just 10 episodes of a docu-series. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of 10-episode docu-series out there. But the ones that live on are the ones where you're creating a wave and that has a ripple effect that goes all across the globe. And that's what Hailey and Justin unlocked, right, with what they did. And that's what the creative team unlocked in the way that they did it. And so that, to me, is what allows this to be a defining YouTube original for us, and hopefully a defining storytelling moment in Justin and Hailey's life. I know you're going to have plenty more moving forward, but I think this will always, hopefully, be a moment in time where, your family now can watch this moving forward and feel like they had a real sense, like a real imprint, a picture postcard of where you were at this point in your life. And there was a certain fearlessness to it that is really addictive. And I just think your ability to pay that forward to other people really makes this something special for our YouTube global community.
Thank you for saying that.
That's awesome. Allison, let's go to you for a minute, because you and Scooter really provide a lot of the context for understanding like Justin's place in the greater world, and how much success he had at such a young age, like things that you don't necessarily think about when you're looking at Justin today. Can you tell us why it was important to present this sort of unvarnished view of Justin?
I think more than anything, it's because it was important to Justin to do it at the time. Figure we've had many other documentaries where it's been highlighted by a tour and it begins kind of at the end of the story and we backtrack from it and Justin fills in the pieces. Justin was writing this one as it was going on. And so for Scooter and for myself, I think it was important for us to kind of lay the framework. But as Ratty and Joe were shooting, he was building the house. We didn't know what it was going to look like at the end. And so I think it was just very important for the two of us to be very honest and give context as well as we could, while obviously honoring Justin's trust, but being very honest about what happened in the past, because he was being very honest about what was happening in the present. And he made it very clear from the outset that he wanted to tell the whole story, which kind of gave us the green light in a way that we hadn't in the past had it to go and do so. So I think that the importance started and ended with that. It was important to him to tell it this way and be as honest as he was.
Scooter, what kind of conversations were going on at SB Projects just around the, pushing out of this series, deciding to make it weekly? How were all those things decided?
As I'm listening to everyone speaking, I just keep smiling and finding myself shaking my head because I really want to honor everybody here, because it was such a courageous effort on everyone's part who's here right now, because I want to kind of go through to give you that perspective, Shirley. Okay. Allison, she's just courageous to deal with me on a daily basis, let alone Justin, right? That's just number one. So, that's just number one. And she's always been, right hand, left hand, like keeping trains on the tracks with me. And I just really appreciate everything and putting herself out there this time, which is something in the past she doesn't normally like to do. Justin and Hailey, I can't speak enough about their courage, opening up their personal life like this. And really, Justin has always been someone, even as a young age, when he says, I would build things up, he would react in certain ways as a kid, but he also carried so much on his shoulders with that judgment. and to see who he is as a man today and how he's progressed through that, it's really amazing, his strength. I've always admired it about him. Hailey didn't ask for any of this. She fell in love, and she, to me, is the breakout star of the documentary. She gives such great narrative. She loves him so much, and you can see that throughout the documentary, that so many people, this started off as Justin Bieber seasons, and then you hear Piper being like Justin Haley, because she was just remarkable throughout the entire thing. Joe, we would not have had this idea if it wasn't for Joe. If Joe didn't have the access and the relationship that he had, it just would not have happened. And I appreciate it, and I appreciate a lot of the footage Joe has never made it. And then I'm going through everybody, but it's like Josh, like one of the things, a lot of the comments that were coming in were how Justin lifts people up. And this speaks to Josh and Poo Bear. Poo Bear talks about all the time, as a songwriter, as a producer, you never see an artist lift him up the way that Justin does. The way Justin lifts Josh up, and you get to see that one scene in the beginning of the episode that Ratty was so brilliant to put together, where Josh is setting up the studio and having his coffee, and kind of like, these guys work so hard on his behalf, and they have for so many years. And to highlight that, I wouldn't say that was courageous on their part, but that was deserved. That was something that, many artists don't do. And Justin was like so excited for them, like genuinely excited, that I just thought that was amazing and awesome to see. And to have a villain like Rye Good, to finally have a villain in this, but Rye Good hasn't said anything, but he's like, if people always say I got, I put my heart and soul into it, they might as well just say I put my Rye and my good. Right. He's just like that person that gives everyone a smile, makes everyone happy. The way the documentary ends, where Ryan kind of sums it up at the end of his pure emotions, his honesty come out in the end. It's just so beautiful to see. And, Ryan's been there from the very beginning with us, and he's seen it all. And to see him, to even know we're having this Paley House conversation right now while Ryan and Justin are again together, brings me such joy, because artists don't have the relationship that all of us have together and have remained over a decade. And I think that's why you get the honesty. And the last person I want to shout out in this kind of thing is Piper, because I went hard at Piper. Justin doesn't know this, and a lot of people don't know this, because a lot of the conversations between network of YouTube and producer were me and Piper. And I asked for freedoms that no network gives. I said, you're not going to see episodes until we are finished. I said, we're going to go, we started this as a documentary, and then I said, you know what, we want to go short form, because we don't even know what episode 10 is going to look like until we get there. We're going to turn that one in 2 weeks before. And we asked for such courage on his part. And I got to just say thank you to Piper, because you and YouTube really gave us an opportunity and a platform to tell this story in the only way we could, which is authentic and real, and in the time we were making it. I'm just smiling listening, and that was a long tangent, but I'm just really happy that this is where we've ended up, and there's all this critical praise, and people who are not technically Justin Bieber fans, or just friends who know me from the walks of life I haven't talked to in a while, have texted me, I just saw season, someone told me to watch it. I am absolutely blown away. Wow. And I think it's because sometimes people say misery is company, but we find strength in common misery. And Justin really laid it all out on the line, and he has come so far, even from a year ago, on that journey, and I think this documentary, in a weird part, not only captured it, but was a part of that healing process. Yeah. And I'm just like, I want to end it with you, Justin, to say how proud I am of your courage and what you did for so many people, and how natural it comes to you. And for anyone watching this, if you haven't seen it, dive in, because I've never recommended something to someone and had anyone come back and say they didn't enjoy seasons. It's really amazing. And it just, bravo, Justin, bravo, Hailey, bravo, everybody. It's so cool to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Josh, can you talk about sort of approaching the music for the show?
The music is approached the same way it's always approached. I like, with the studio environment, is such a sensitive and a exposed place that I try to create an environment for Justin to really just be himself at all times. Like, I don't know Justin in a different way than I saw him on Changes. His life has always been exposed to me. His insecurities are always exposed, and his struggles are exposed. like, arm reachable exposure. So, on the music side, nothing was really different. Justin has consistently like grown more into his role and as an artist and as a producer and what he wants to give to the world. So, nothing's different on the music side. I'm just glad the documentary exposed actually who he is as a person, because that's the kind of person I've been seeing for a lot of years now. And for that to come out as honest and authentic as it was, it made me feel good that it wasn't contrived or scripted or in that kind of sense. It was really what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see Joe, and I don't look at Joe and be like, who's this guy? Or, with the camera, it's just natural. It's just, I don't know. I'm glad it came out. Hailey went through a whole, she went through the ringer. She fell in love with Justin. Justin's been struggling. Hailey got him through it. It was just, it was an awesome experience. And, I'm proud of everybody involved. Everybody played their hand well.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Josh. Love you. You're going to make me cry.
All right. I'm just riffing off the top. I hope I didn't say anything wrong.
Thank you, man.
No,
it's beautiful.
You did great. Ryan, good. We'll go to you. You've probably been closer to Justin for the longest period of time. You've seen him grow. What does this documentary feel like to you? You're also another person who really drives the story in that you can really reflect on Justin of the past, because we know you were there and we know how close that you guys are. Can you speak about your relationship?
Yeah, and I think more than anything, it's just another testament to the genuineness of the documentary, and that, anytime I'm in it, it really is just almost an observation of our relationship, as is everybody that's in it. So I think, I've just been really blessed to build such relationship with everybody on this, but more importantly, Justin. He's a brother to me. And so, it was really kind of just a sum of the 10 plus years we've been brothers. And, I think we both play such a strong role in each other's lives, and just sort of like, I look up to him a lot, as he would probably say the same. Like, I learn a lot from him, as like, I think he would say the same. So I think really, as far as just anytime I'm in this, it's just us being us, especially in the studio, etc., at the wedding. And I was just sharing stories of like, Justin's living a real life. Like, Justin and Hailey have a real life, and as much as people's perspective of them being some faraway characters, like, the truth is they're living a real life. And so documenting a wedding and their everything that he went through and all this stuff, it's really just I don't know, me being there along the ride with him, and just kind of walking out like a brother and best friend.
Yeah.
So the album, Justin, your last excellent R&B album called Change. And this is called Seasons. How did you guys come up with Seasons?
I think Rye and Ratty came up with that, if I'm correct.
We just talking about this the other day.
We actually just talked about that.
Really?
I was we were talking about how we thought it was just so like on the nose and too easy to call it Changes the Documentary. And I literally said something to Ryan right before his sit down interview. And then we just did it. We started talking for a couple hours, and he went on like a little monologue about how it was just like a season of Justin's life. And he repeated that a couple times. And I literally like cut him off while he was saying something profound. And I was like, that's the title. And then he's like, what? And we spoke about it right there. And then obviously, like with all things, I really mean this, Justin was at the helm. So when we bounced it by Justin, and I think that it was a term that he had been using to describe the phases of life and whatnot. And I think it paired well with the music and this moment in time. And that's when we sort of locked in Seasons as the name. And I just want to add to that, while Justin weighed in on stuff like that, he really did an interesting balancing act, which was he weighed in and made the doc so much better, and by opening himself up and not creating those restrictions, like I said. But he also put trust in everybody here. He didn't ask to go and review every single cut and change things and, you know, alter it to make it his own narrative. He went and he gave opinions about style and obviously anything music related. He's like, you know, the captain of the ship. But it's a delicate balancing act to go and make your voice heard in a documentary while also saying, I want this thing to be objective. And I applaud his ability to do that. He did that with the title. He did it with sort of every part of this thing.
Wow.
Thanks, man.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely difficult. Well, I'm going to ask just one more question to wrap this up. You know, obviously we're all stuck at home. There have been a lot of, you know, babies made and divorces put into action. You guys, how are you holding up during the quarantine? What are you binging? What are you doing with yourselves?
Ryan and I are doing great. Thank you for asking.
Thanks for speaking for me.
Well, we didn't make any babies, so that's that. We've honestly, I really do think we've enjoyed this time. Justin was actually supposed to be on tour right now. And, you know, it was disappointing that had to be postponed and moved. But I think even through the quarantine, we're still pretty newly married. I mean, we'll be celebrating 2 years in September. But I still feel like we've just been enjoying our time with each other and getting to know each other deeper and just kind of, we've been having a really fun summer regardless of everything that's been going on. Just
it's been surprisingly pretty good for us. Obviously we have compassion for those who are really struggling, and that hurts us, but for us, we've really been able to create a deeper bond with each other, spending a lot of time with each other, not traveling a lot, but kind of like
we've been road tripping, which I guess is the best way to like
staying social distancing.
Social distance, yeah, it's just the two of us. So, and also too, like I think we've been able to get a lot of things done that maybe we felt like we didn't have time for before, and it's been good. It's sucked because we miss our families. You know, we miss seeing our friends, but other than that, it's been okay.
It's been good.
Yeah.
And are you binging anything entertainment wise?
Yeah, Hailey started Vampire Diaries and she will not stop watching it, and I will not participate in that.
I'm just like, I actually love it. I think it's a great show, but we loved Ozark together.
Yeah, we binged Ozark
together.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well,
Ozark's the best show on television.
Sorry?
Ozark's the best show on television. If you agree, raise your hand.
Shout out to Jason Bateman.
Come on, Scooter. You're not in it?
Top five. I don't have favorites. I have top fives. Top five for sure.
Top five. Oh yeah, because you're a producer, so you can't say stuff like that because
way too political.
Actually, Dave was the best show of the year.
There's a show, Dave is a really good show. I really enjoyed.
It was Dave was amazing. I will say that. It was hilarious.
Scooter, are you gonna be up? Are you gonna be up for an Emmy with Dave against Seasons, or not? Not really, right? Different categories.
I think it's different categories.
Thank
different
God,
categories.
right?
Different categories.
If you imagine Dave in Seasons or like
your lips to God's ears,
that would make no sense.
Listen, your lips to God's ears. We would love to be nominated. We'd enjoy that. It'd be amazing. But regardless, this has just been an incredible experience, and I appreciate what Piper said. It's like to be able. I was thinking about it, like what you said. You know, the wedding's a part of it. How cool is it for your future children, Hailey and Justin, to be able to go back and look at this? It's really
just right there.
It's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ratty.
Yeah, it's beautifully shot too. Like,
and Joe.
Gorgeous.
It's a well done homemade video.
Exactly.
It really is.
Look at that.
Thank you so much for doing this and being so just well spoken.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, you asked wonderful questions, and I feel like we caught a vibe, so we appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
guys. Good to see everybody. Love everybody. Bye, guys.
Love everyone on this call.
Love you guys. Mahalo.
Love you guys.
Thank you for joining us for the special PaleyFest LA conversation with the wonderful creative team behind Justin Bieber Seasons. And thanks to the festival's official card, City. You can learn more about the Paley Center by visiting paleycenter.org. Thanks, and take care, everyone.